Let's see, I believe the records show that we have purchased over 100 books. Hi, I'm Caitlin E, and welcome to the Lit Review. Today is the long-awaited book haul. We're doing a book haul. I'm so excited. So this will actually be part one of a two-part series because I bought so many books that I need to break it up into smaller chunks so that it is more manageable for me and more enjoyable for you. So you get double the book haul for your fun times. So keep an eye out for part two of the book haul, which will be all my romance books, and that will be coming to you this Saturday. So no more delayed gratification there. So this is the first time I have ever done a book haul on this channel, and if you'd like to see me get to the point and get to the books, I will leave a time code down in the description below and leave the time code there as well if you'd like to skip around. But I want to tell you some cool stuff about this whole process first. So if you are a regular Lit Review subscriber, you know all about my TBR game, LitLand. It's based on Candyland, and I make my way across the board based on my TBR, and at the end I get a book haul, and that's how we got here. I got a book haul during the month of August, and for the rest of the time, I don't let myself buy books, so we are officially back on that book buying ban until I complete my next LitLand game. And the other thing is that when I filmed my September LitLand video, which I will link above, I decided that since I had purchased so many books during this time that I was going to add a new rule to the game. So that's how this video connects to my LitLand as well as like future potential hauls and unhauls. So when I next get a book haul in LitLand, if I have not read the amount of books that I have hauled, I have to unhaul the difference, because the whole point for me of LitLand is kind of containing and maintaining my unread TBR, which is massive, and I don't have a lot of shame or guilt about it because that's half the fun of acquiring books for me. But I am trying to be a little bit better about reading what I bring into my home. Now, you're not going to believe me, the words that just came out of my mouth, when I tell you that despite the fact that I care about reading what I bring into my home, I have added over 100 books during the month of August. And yeah, it feels a little weird to say both of those things, but they can both be true. For the purposes of this book haul, I am not counting anything that came in through my book boxes in either the month of August or September. Because of the way I run LitLand, those things have always been separate, and so I'm not counting them, or they're not counting towards that big bad 100, and I think my total number is 102. I also want to give some context. Some of these books that I've purchased do not count towards that number of 102 because they are books that I have already read, and usually through the library, and then I wanted to give the author more of my financial support. So I purchased those books, and I'm not counting them because, again, the point of LitLand is to maintain my unread TBR, so they don't really count towards that big grand number. So that's just for context, but I will shout out those books when they come up in either this book haul or the next one. And then there are some books buried in both of these book hauls that are going to be secret TBR videos. So see if you can spot those. I'm hoping to get the ones that I'm thinking of out for you by the end of 2020, but I don't have a really secure timeline because, you know, this is my favorite hobby, right? Like, I love doing this and love creating things like that, but I also have a full-time job, so I'm not really 100% certain when those are coming, but see if you can spot any common themes or interesting tidbits and let me know in the comments below. And another cool thing that I'd love to share with you about this book haul, and my second one as well, is that the vast majority of these books were bought from either independent bookstores or they were bought on sites where I was getting copies gently used, things like eBay, Better World Books, Thrift Books. I did buy some things from Book Depository and Barnes & Noble because I do still value the services that they provide, but I tried to avoid Amazon to the best of my abilities. So even though Book Depository and Amazon, same thing. So the majority of this book haul and the one you'll be seeing on Saturday are majorly either independent or used titles, and I'm actually really excited about that, so I wanted to shout that out. But I've been talking at you for a hot minute and have not showed you a single book, so let's rectify that real quick. I'm going to start out with the 3 outstanding books that are still on their way to me, so I will put their covers up here so that you can see the beautiful cover designs of each of them. The first is How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. This one is still outstanding from Book Depository, so it's very frustrating because I'm trying to read this book by the end of September. So I may have to look into some digital alternatives in order to complete that for my TBR this month. But hopefully it comes in soon because it's one I'm really anxious to read. The other 2 are on their way to me right now, and that is The Body Is Not an Apology by Sonia Renee Taylor and The White Coat Diaries by Maddie Sinha. So I had ordered those in my Come Book Shopping With Me video, which I will also link above, and I wanted to support a small bookstore here in Los Angeles. So one of the items was back ordered, which is why they hadn't filled it, but they called me recently and were like, hey, do you still want this thing? And the answer to that is heck yes. So those are also incoming, and they do count towards my number that I've quoted to you. Again, I may have miscounted, but I believe we are at 102. What I've done is I have left timestamps down below, and if you are interested in any of the specific genres that I'm going to go through, you can cycle around as needed. So check those out if you're only really interested in things like fantasy or history or, you know, whatever floats your boat. So that's how I've broken it down, and I'm just going to kind of randomly start with one. So, young adult. First, A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. This former library copy of Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. Lovely War by Julie Berry. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This used copy of one of my childhood favorites, The Royal Diaries, Marie Antoinette. Did anybody else read this series growing up, by the way? Because I was obsessed with these, and there are so many more of them that I need to track down. But Marie was one of my faves. Every Little Piece of Me by Amy Jones. Wolf by Ryan Graden. And here's a good example of what I was talking about by things not counting. So I've already read The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh, and that was a library copy. I specifically tracked down this cover because I'm obsessed with it. But so this one doesn't count. But when I bought the sequel, The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh, this one counts. So bought both of these. Super stoked to finish this, hopefully in October. And then I bought these really beautiful copies of Philip Pullman's whole series. They're gift copies, but the first one being Northern Lights, aka Golden Compass. Y'all know I have issues with shiny covers and foil, so like these are great. So again, this one does not count, but the other 2 do. So that is the Amber Spyglass and The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. And then the last 2 in this category, I think technically like The Royal Diaries probably would have been more of like a middle grade title, as is this one. So this is Pet by Ekweke Amizi, and this is a Kehlani rec for me. So I actually have a couple of books that from Kehlani Simply Me totally convinced me to buy. Pet is one of them, and the second one is The Last Magicians by Lisa Maxwell. So these 2 are Kehlani Made Me Do It picks, so I'm really excited to give these a go. Next genre. So I only picked up a couple of poetry books this time around, so just actually 2. So first was Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot, which I believe is the book of poetry that inspired the musical Cats, which was my entire reason for wanting to pick this up, because I gotta know. And the other book of poetry that I got was Maps and Transcripts of the Ordinary World by Catherine Coles. And she is a wonderful poet, is also a former professor of mine, so always support her work when I see it. She also designed this cover, so like I'm really excited to get to this. And then I purchased about 5 things that I'm categorizing within like graphic novels, although 2 of them are like creative journal type things, so I'll separate those out within this category. I did pick up volume 2 of Crowded. I haven't talked about volume 1 on this channel much, but I really enjoy this series. And it's by Christopher Sebelius, Rose Stein, Ted Brandt, Triona Farrell, and Cardinal Ray. Then I'm giving Melanie Gilman's Stage Dreams a Try, Fangs by Sarah Anderson, and then the two kind of creative journals that I grabbed were It's Your Weirdness That Makes You Wonderful, a self-acceptance prompt journal by Kate Allen, who does The Latest Kate on a lot of different platforms, including Instagram, Tumblr, and she's just like one of my favorite, again, self-acceptance, like mental health related things to follow, so that's why I picked this up. So Scribble Yourself Feminist by Chidera Egeru, and I believe she goes by The Slumflower and a lot of different other internet places, but it's also illustrated by Manjeet Thap. Okay, next up is the fantasy genre. Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope, The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin, The Shadow Commission by David Mack, Snow Crash by Neil Stevenson, Fortuna Sworn by K.J. Sutton, and spoiler alert, I have already read this courtesy of Becca's Bookopoly for this September. You'll hear more about it in my wrap-up at the end of the month, but This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone. Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. R.S. Belcher's The Queen of Swords, which I did not realize when I bought that it isn't smack dab in the middle of a series, so let's see how this goes. Then I decided to round out my trilogy for V.E. Schwab. So I own the first book in this series, but V.E. Schwab's A Gathering of Shadows and A Conjuring of Light. So, got there. The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackworth. The Psychology of Time Travel by Kate Mascarenhas. And then again, completing my own portion of the trilogy is Dark Dawn by J. Kristoff. Then I went in for some nonfiction, and as you can probably gather from looking at this, I usually try to buy paperbacks unless the hardback is a little cheaper used, or if the hardback is just so special I can't resist it. So some of these are hardbacks, but most of them are used, or because I thought they were pretty special. So first on the nonfiction list, I'll Be Gone in the Dark by Michelle McNamara, Me and White Supremacy by Layla F. Saad, Becoming by Michelle Obama. I cannot recommend the audiobook highly enough, but I just needed to own a physical copy of this. The Rise and the Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Brusate, Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow, and then this library copy of Getting Gamers, The Psychology of Video Games and Their Impact on the People Who Play Them by Jamie Madigan. And then I only picked up 4 books that could be counted as like mystery or thriller or, you know, have those kind of components, so I just kind of plopped them all together. The first is The One by John Mars, Night Film by Marisha Pessel, American Spy by Lauren Wilkinson, Bluebird by Attica Locke, and then I bought a handful of books that are like contemporary oriented. Some of these are going to sound very familiar if you again watched my like come shopping with me video, so you know that I bought the hardback of If We Were Villains by Emil Rio because I did not like the cover design of the paperback. Which is, again, one of those conditions where I will actually shell out for the hardback because sometimes the cover design is just that important to me. The Subtweet by Vivek Sharaya, My Most Excellent Year by Steve Kluger, If I Had Your Face by Frances Cha, Gingerbread by Helen Oyemi, The Secret History by Donna Tartt, and my first Frederick Bachman, Beartown. So during this time, I only bought 2 classics, but I'll show them both to you. So I searched high and low for a cover of the full unabridged Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas, and this is what I ended up doing, the cloth-bound version. And then the other one that I grabbed is Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, but this is the twist on it is that Martha Stewart also has recipes throughout, so I couldn't say no to this. And our last category here together before I move you on to part 2 is historical. So Kristen Hanna, The Nightingale, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society by Mary Ann Schaffer and Anne Barrows, Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wine, and then Kaylani like thoroughly surprised me and sent me 2 gently used copies of some of the Outlander series from Diana Gabaldon. So she sent me The Fiery Cross and The Breath of Snow and Ashes. So this is just good motivation for me to continue on with that series. She saw in my unread adult series video that I was working on this and sent these to me. So thank you so much to Kaylani. Yeah, I did a thing. There's not an ounce of apology anywhere in my body because this makes me very happy. If you'd like to see the rest of what I purchased, and that will be all romance, you should stay tuned for this Saturday's video, and hopefully that will bring you as much joy as it has brought me. Now I get the really wonderful task of sorting these and integrating them into my much larger book collection. Well, that's my read on all the books I bought during my first ever book haul here at the Lit Review. Thank you for spending the time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of me or this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!